you're listening to Back to the Boardroom. I'm Greer.
And I'm James.
And it's week 8 of The Apprentice. I cannot believe it's rattled around that quickly. And in true quick fashion, we're looking at electric cars this week. And a whole brand they've got to design, which you know is always going to go badly.
Yeah, I mean, not just the logo, the name and the presentation and an advert. There's just so many ways in which chaos can ensue, to be honest.
And it always does, and that's why we like talking about The Apprentice, because it is a whole hour of nonsense, and it certainly was this week. So, shall we go through what the task was? Specifically, the candidates had to choose a new brand for an electric vehicle with a brand name, a logo, a 30-second TV advert, and they had to pitch it to a panel of experts. But I like this week that Lord Sugar made the big point of telling them that the experts wouldn't be deciding which one was the best, but he would be.
I always find that's a bit of a get out of jail card for Sugar. He can kind of dictate the outcome a bit. These ones are where he can really.
Yeah, he knows, I guess, some of the people that are still left in that perhaps he won't want to invest in. So he's thinking, how can I mix it up? But I thought it was interesting. It's become a new thing on the podcast where we say whether Alan Sugar has bothered to get out of bed. And this week he had. Obviously, he wanted a trip to the Science Museum.
Exactly. So his Lord title is back, Lord Sugar, because he bothered to come.
Not just Al or whoever you'd demoted him to last week. So one thing I thought was interesting about the task this week is that both teams were actually given, while it was the same task, the brief was slightly different for both of them. And I didn't know if it was unfair for one or not. So we had Nexus with a camper van who were aiming to target the leisure sector. And then Supreme had a box van and they were told to target businesses. Now, personally, I know I'd have rather have targeted the customer in the leisure sector. I just feel like it's more fun. Do you think it was sort of unfair for them to have different kind of briefs, even though it was the same sort of electric vehicle? Was it comparable?
I think probably was, because you could have really nailed a business pitch, right? And maybe being more corporate-y and less fun would still be okay because you're angling to that business side. Yeah, probably okay. I don't know if we've seen it before, though.
No, I can't think of a time, but you would be the person that knows or could do some good research to find out. I thought it was interesting as well that Noor herself said that she hadn't been project manager and really wanted to. And it felt like in the taxi and stuff, the other candidates were agreeing as if they'd spoken about it in the house and sort of wished it was Noor's time. But Lord Sugar actually said, you're the only one that hasn't been project manager yet, so you're going in this week.
Yeah, I don't recall a time where he's done that either. So it was quite interesting that, not as a consequence of the boardroom, just in the starting part of the task, he's been like, right, because of this, you're project manager.
Which means, though, we don't get a funny reason as to why Noor really wanted to be project manager, which we've liked hearing. But we did get one from last week's character, Moira, and your winner, who said that she really loves camping, so would like to be project manager this week. And Paul, he tried his best to make everyone vote for him, and it worked out.
I think, to be honest, after last week's Sauvignon Blanc, I didn't think she could do 2 in a row, to be honest.
No, it would have been a bit too much, but she does pop up later for the advert, which we'll dissect probably in great detail.
Absolutely.
Yes. One thing I did want to mention is that in Noor's team, she decided to give the task of sub-team leader to Beluso, and she kind of refused. And I think this sort of set up the entire challenge with Noor. She had lots of ideas and things that she wanted to do, but people kept sort of saying, are you sure about that, several times. I just thought it was funny. I don't think I've heard anyone say, no, actually, I don't think I should be sub-team leader. And Phil, with the losing streak, was given it instead.
Yeah, I don't know whether that was tactical.
I feel like it was.
Don't know. You know, because if they lost the task, maybe the idea of bringing the sub-team leader back in, and then they can use the the art ammo. You've lost 8 weeks now in a row. You're the reason. I don't know, maybe.
So we had two very different ideas, obviously because they're two slightly different briefs. But I thought it was interesting. Paul, the dentist, tried to go with the family market, and I'm quite glad they changed their mind to sort of fixate on younger people and couples, because I thought, a family of 4 trying to fit into that tiny camper van sounds like an awful holiday. And another thing I wanted to ask you about is with the ideas. Obviously, Noor came in with quite a sort of strong idea. It was her own opinion, it's what she wanted to do, but it made me think, we've had several tasks where the project manager has said, right, this is the idea and we're going to do this, everyone on board. And I just thought, surely that's not the role of the project manager. That's to make sure the task is on track and is going well and everyone does their roles. But they keep coming in with the ideas and being very like, no, this is what we're doing. And I just thought, in this case, people didn't really like Noor's idea, but she was going with it anyway. So it's a bit of a problem, isn't it, when the project manager comes in and says something, but surely it's about teamwork.
Yeah, it's a hard balance because you could, and I think we've seen it in past challenges as well, you can sometimes see that the task is actually, something's going wrong with it. And there's sometimes you're limited to what you can do, because at the end of the day, the project managers say is final. So therefore, and sometimes maybe the project manager gets tunnel vision on their vision. Just a lot of factors.
Yeah, it's a weird one. And I think that's something that certainly happened with Noor this week, because her own brand is an e-commerce business. She then turned e-commerce into the idea for the electric vehicle. But she seemed to be very focused on reaching customers and perhaps hasn't had a lot of like B2B experience, which is what the brief was. And I think Trey and a few of the others were saying several times, we're quite customer and consumer focused. We're not fully business focused. So yeah, an interesting one to start off with, but two very different ideas. Noor's was all about sort of, if you've got an online business, taking it out to people with a sort of, I guess, cost-effective way to take a van out and show people products and stuff, which it's kind of like having a market stall, going out to different events and stuff, which really probably could work. Don't know if it was executed in the right way, though.
Okay, so now it's time for part of the show where myself and Greer perform a 60-second elevator pitch to present our ideas to both you, the listener, and potentially Lord Sugar, if he is also listening. It's a twist this week, though, because electric vehicles and speed, we're going to cut the time, so we've only got 30 seconds. So this is going to go awfully.
Well, you love shaking things up, James. I think you like keeping the competition at a high level. There's some tension as I'm watching The Apprentice every week to find out what sort of extra bit James has got for the podcast. So 30 seconds. Am I going to be able to say all the words I want in 30 seconds? I haven't ever done before. So
I haven't got a lot of content, so I think the 30 seconds is going to be okay for me, because there'll just be 30 seconds of silence if not.
Nice. Who wants to go first? Are you feeling confident, or would you like to subject me to the torture before you?
I'll give you the choice.
Oh, I don't know. You can go first.
Okay. Tell me when the 30 seconds are on the clock and I will begin.
Okay. He sounds very confident. We'll see how it goes. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so for my pitch, I've gone with the pop-up truck variant. So we're going to target businesses. What we're going to target? Electric ice cream trucks. Solar panels on top, at the beach, really sustainable. And the name is Whip E. And we're going to have like an ice cream cone with like a 99, and then it's going to go to like an E at the top. There we go.
Oh, bang on, 30 seconds. Look at that. Wow. I'm concerned. You've thought of a name and of the branding. I just have a concept.
I thought that the name came to me. I thought it's a bit cheesy, but I'm gonna double down. All right. So I don't know. I don't know if that was that strong. So I think you're gonna be all right.
I think it sounded good.
All right then. Are you ready?
I guess so.
Okay, your 30 seconds starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
So I also went with the leisure market. I thought because it seems like quite a small electric vehicle, let's target single professionals, people who want to solo travel, which is a big thing at the moment, and really focus on safety, but also being a place that you can actually go around along on the road, but also work from. So you can do remote working, you can be safe traveling around, and enjoy some beautiful places wherever you go and decide to be. So focus on single professionals in the leisure market. That was mine.
Perfect. Bang on 30 seconds.
That's good. I think I've got the idea because lots of people like vlogging and putting videos across social media of the van life. That was a big thing. But you get lots of people that want to travel around and see places, but maybe they've not got someone to go with, or, you know, they're remote working and their partner or friends aren't. So it'd be a fun thing.
I thought it was a reasonable pitch.
Thanks.
I think if you're listening, let us know what you thought of our pitches, who you thought was best, and send us your own if you want.
Yes, please do. Give yourself 30 seconds to think of it, because that is the stressful component of our elevator pitches. But yeah, please do let us know in our Instagram comments at Back to the Boardroom or on YouTube. I mean, ice cream does seem to be a winner there, I think. The solar panels are such a good idea. Let's have a look at some of our top moments from the week. And I think for me, obviously, coming up with the branding is always one of the funniest things. And I really liked it when Raj and Flo were sat together with a designer trying to come up with a brand name. And I know it's all in the edit, but it looked like it took them about 3 hours to come up with anything. I've written a list of the ones Raj came up with that Flo detested. E-camper van, e-travel, e-camper, and e-wheels. But Flo didn't come up with any herself, so Raj was just adding E onto the beginning of car and van words.
Yeah, I don't know whether it was the edit, but I'm sorry, Flo. It definitely felt like you were probably rightfully saying that the names were not particularly great, but I didn't hear any suggestions, any alternatives. But it may be the edit, so you know who am I to know?
Any of the logos wind you up?
I mean, they did. Like, why a hexagon? Was it a hexagon around the border? I mean, Raj said she wanted a box around it, and then it turned into a hexagon, which probably is better than a box. But I don't know. I didn't really. I mean, the tent and the E and then the wheel. What? Yeah, I mean, it's just funny.
I thought, why does it look like some sort of Greek letter? It didn't look. It looked like a character. It did look like part of the alphabet, I guess, or it was half a signature or something. There was nothing there, even in color or any of the text, to show what on earth that actually was. And I really enjoyed, again, when they went out to get market research and find out what people thought of the logos. They hated both of them, rightly.
Yeah. So someone said assisted living or a sanitary product for Nexus's logo. And I like the fact that Lord Sugar said that the Volts logo looks like you're selling a defibrillator, which I thought, that was quite on point. I think that would be quite good for
that was a good one. I thought when they were making Volts, it looked like the Hertz logo. I don't know if it still exists, but like the hire car company.
Yes.
It did look like that. I guess it looked car-y when Phil did it, but Noor was saying she wanted it to be sort of fun and futuristic, and the logo really just looked quite stuffy. So Feluso was trying to make it better, but she just made it look like a drawing, a child's drawing. And did you see that sort of line that was going along the top between the V and the Z? It would have looked fine in the sort of corporate-y font, but because they added like a different stroke on it that was more childlike, the bit where it went up into the Z, it just looked really unfinished and very strange.
Yeah, definitely.
So she went rogue.
So the font or the name is singing Hertz to you. The colours are singing Europe car to me.
Yes. Well, at least it's car related.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe that's where their minds went. Who knows?
Possibly. But they were both pretty bad, but not as bad in my eyes as the videos. And now we didn't have our favourite director here because DJ Verdi, the international DJ, has left Spielberg. So we had to settle for Moira's strange techniques when it comes to directing and interacting with the public.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good word to describe it. It is rather odd.
Yeah, I didn't get it. Like, I understand she wanted humour and fun in the advert, and it was quite funny when Steve was falling over and dropping the tent and stuff. That was great. If they just had him doing that, I think that would have been fun. But then the two actors that were trying to be sort of a young couple, why was she getting the woman to be like, babe, I'm so happy we have our home luxuries, and like hula hooping? And I was like, I don't consider a hula hoop as a home luxury that I want to bring with me into my holiday.
I have to say something, but before we got to that part, when we were back at the storyboarding part, one of my top moments from Nexus was Paul going, they were talking about the young couple, and he said something along the lines of like, we can, have them in shot, having a great time, sipping on water. Paul, I know you're a dentist, but they don't need to be drinking water now.
No, having sugar-free gum and flossing, he might as well have said. But I think he was going to say like toasting with alcohol, and then he realised he was behind the wheel of a vehicle, so it just was like, oh, some water, I don't know. But yeah, it doesn't inspire luxury camping to me, water. Later on, they were editing the video, and because they were struggling to get 30 seconds of time or whatever, Moira suggested, what happens if you just speed up the audio? And so you had the poor man being like, I really like this electric camper, like really, really fast talking. I thought, really? You're going to do the terms and conditions apply voice for the whole advert?
It was, there was two really interesting, I don't know if that's the right word, adverts, but something for me, like, and I think it was really, I don't know if this was the edit making it more prominent, but you couldn't drive in the location of Supreme's video, and to me that just warning bells, sirens in my head. No, see, before Nor chose a location where they couldn't drive, I thought, oh, they're looking through the actors panels. I bet you Supreme will choose actors that can't drive. But then it didn't matter because
they didn't need
the location couldn't. Yeah.
I understand that she thought the venue looked cool. I mean, it was like bright lights and stuff, and I guess it would sort of appeal to sort of younger entrepreneurial business owners or something wanting to target that demographic, I guess, with their products. But again, she's trying to relate it to the customer rather than as a business. And there was a lot of tension, wasn't there? I think we started off, as you said, Rachel actually said to Nora at the beginning, you do realise that you can't drive the vehicle, are you happy with that? And they tried to coach her a few times, and she was like, yeah, I'm happy. And then later on, I think just the day was just getting more and more ludicrous because Trey seemed to lose his cool a little. He seems like a very cool, calm guy, and he was just getting fed up when they were filming because they weren't filming the van at all.
There was definitely a power struggle, and I don't know, like, obviously you're not in the situation, so you can't really comment on what has happened, but I wonder if, like, because in previous episodes, like, Nor has got ignored a lot. And I wonder if the converse happened too much that she thought as her time at project manager, now she can't be ignored.
Yeah.
But then maybe didn't take on other people's feedback because she knew the idea and she was like, I'm PM, this is my decision. Not sure.
I think you're possibly right there. She was very headstrong in what she wanted to do from the beginning, but I don't think managed to convince the rest of the team, and then she sort of led the way, which ultimately was her downfall in the end.
Another top moment for me, we're talking pitches now, and this is from Nexus's, and I think it was Rory Reid who was on Top Gear, which was a nice familiar face to see, but he was representing Auto Trader or Auto Sport, one of the two. And he said that, why did you think a USB port was more important than, I think it was the hob? And are you aware that USB ports arrived in cars in 2006? I just thought that was quite funny.
I like that. Someone that was very knowledgeable about the technology in cars, sort of slating them in a very polite way, is always nice.
And the final one for me, backtracking a bit to the video, is I think Nor made a comment to Trey being like, the script isn't good. You should have spent more time writing the script. The dynamic between them all episode was tense, to say the least.
It was. They were really sort of bickering, I think is the right term. I think she was saying a lot of the time, leave me alone, I know what I'm doing, you're speaking to me in a strange way that I don't like. And he was sort of saying, no, I'm actually trying to just win because it's not just you, it looks bad on all of us. So I think you hit the nail on the head with saying that because Noor had wanted to get her points across throughout the rest of the weeks, this was her chance. And any opposition or any comment I think she was taking as extremely negatively, rightly or wrongly, because it was her first chance to really show what she could do. And I think she was trying to take on everything all in one go.
Yeah. And I'm sure it's very frustrating 7 weeks in a trot being ignored quite a lot. So I can understand where that came from. The last thing I have to say, which made me, well, I didn't actually, it was Joe that noticed it in the boardroom. Lord Sugar said to Steve, hope you pitched better than your tent. And Joe goes, isn't that a naughty phrase?
I like that.
Just, it completely went over my head. But as soon as she said that to me, I did chuckle quite a bit.
Now let's go back to the boardroom and we can find out what on earth Lord Sugar thought of the ideas and who he was going to fire this week. And I think we all probably knew early on who would be going. But there was also the suggestion of a double firing, which would have matched up with your prediction, wouldn't it, James?
Yeah, so I actually messaged Greer in the middle of the show. I think it was just after they'd revealed who won. And I said, Greer, double firing, calling it now.
Yes, I can. The actual words was, the last bit just really made me laugh. Calling it now, Nor and Phil. And then I just said, I'm going to get the link ready for the podcast. I just ignored you. An interesting little live update I thought you might be interested in, because I didn't know this until I've just looked at my notifications. Nor hasn't actually appeared on the episode of You're Fired after the main show.
Interesting.
Don't know why.
Maybe we'll get an update next episode.
Maybe.
That's two people that haven't appeared now.
Yeah, they'll be scrambling for content on there. Lord Sugar was obviously sharing his bad jokes, as usual. He made a joke about Elon Musk before he started working with Tesla, just being called Lon Musk. It's like, okay, you've really got to think about that one. I think, is always going to be disappointed in the Apprentice candidates when it's a whole branding task, because it's always going to be awful. I think that's just what we've learned about the show. But what he really didn't like is when Noor had watched her video and she immediately said afterwards, it's really good, like quite quietly, like I really liked it or whatever. And he was like, really? And there were several times where he was like, are you serious? Like, couldn't believe that she was fully backing herself and backing the not so good parts of their work this week right until the end.
I get that you want to stick behind your your creations and so on. But I think there needs to be a point where when you embrace, I guess, you criticize your own work and say, actually, maybe it wasn't great.
Yeah. It's like what we've said before. I think you were saying that it's probably the right thing in this situation if you're fighting for your place in the competition, actually taking responsibility and saying, you know what, that was a really hard task. It's not fully where my skill set is. My business isn't in electric cars, or I haven't done TV ads or something. So, okay, that didn't go as well as I'd thought, but I did try, and, you know, we worked as a team, whatever. Hold your hands up and say, okay, it didn't work out quite well. And I do think that's something that Lord Sugar admires in people, the honesty and sort of taking responsibility. We've seen that in this process this time, that just throughout. And I feel like their relationship, if he was to invest in Nor's business, would have just been a difficult one.
I think pressure of the boardroom also probably. I don't know. Like, I feel like if I was in the boardroom, the pressure would get to me so much, I probably wouldn't remember or think about half the stuff I actually say in there. So I wonder if it would be quite interesting to know what goes through the candidates' minds, because, I would probably come out with a lot of garbage.
That's true. I guess they all really respect Lord Sugar and want him to notice them. And actually, his investment is probably life-changing, really, if you make the most of it and you do it well and all of that. So it means a lot. So you are going to start, really fighting for your corner in there. And because you're nervous, you are just going to forget what you've got to say, and you've got to be able to really calm your nerves down. So, I probably would be nervous. I'd have to sit there and do some breathing exercises or something.
I wonder if anyone taps their feet or goes on the table.
Yeah.
And Lord Sugar had to go, shut up!
Yeah. I'll be biting my nails or something. They'll be like, please can you stop that, because it's ruining the sound for the television episode. Yeah. People must be nervous. It can't just be me and you thinking we'd be really nervous in there. They must be.
They must be. And it was interesting that Nord didn't get an option of who she was bringing back.
Yes.
He summarised and he was like, no, you're fired. And then the music started again and you're like, oh, hang on. It's got to look at Phil. And he escapes once again.
He is still the luckiest man, as he got called, because he is on a losing streak, but he's still in. I do think maybe Lord Sugar wasn't sure if he was going to fire him sort of up until the last moment, and that's why he didn't give Nor the choice of who to bring in, just in case she didn't bring Phil back in, I think.
Maybe, yeah.
Or maybe that was the drama, but I think he wasn't sure right until that last moment, whether to put his finger back out or keep it down by his side.
I think he's trying to keep Phil in to keep our prediction alive.
Yeah, well, it worked out in my favour then that you didn't get your double firing this week. Maybe Lord Sugar does listen, and he was trying to give me some extra points.
So some quick updates from me this week. Again, secretary segment, same tables from last week. It's not the graphs anymore, but we saw some tables last week and they've been reused this week. Nothing really much more to report there. As for the hours challenge, we had about 10 hours. I think 7 or 8 of them were distinct hours. So that will be added to the totals, and we'll do a check-in in a couple of weeks for that. And my watchful eye noted a few things. They were using Premiere Pro for the edits for the video. If you're interested. And on some of the footage when they're recording the video, they forgot to blur out some brands. So brand watch returns.
Yes.
So they forgot to blur out Canon, which was the brand of the camera, and Ronin, which is the brand of the gimbal. But the best one is when Steve was fumbling with the purple or pinky tent, they blurred out the brand, but then a couple of shots later, they forgot to do it. So we all saw that. I think it was a Gellert tent.
Nice.
So yeah, those are my musings for episode 8.
Yeah,
very
if you're
quick.
Looking for a brand of tent to purchase this summer and a camera to go with it, then the BBC shouldn't have, but have given you some suggestions. I love that you noticed this. Another thing that I really like hearing from you each week is whether you're happy with the quality of the treat or you are disappointed. So what did you think this week? It was a segue.
Yeah, I mean, it was... I would say not great, but not the worst. I guess it tied into the challenge a bit. So it was electric and it was in nature. Electric's all, tying in loosely like that.
Very loosely.
But I don't know.
I think I thought it would be cool if they did some sort of like electric car. You can have like track days. Can you do an electric car track day?
Yes, or what would have been even better, maybe the timings didn't work out, because I think, who is it? Is it Alan Sugar or Karen, who's affiliated with Tottenham? Maybe Karen's a rival team. I can't remember. Anyway,
yeah,
they have an electric karting track under Tottenham Stadium, and
no
that
way.
would have been cool.
Really cool.
I think it only got finished earlier this year, so that would... But yeah, so I don't know. It didn't scream luxury to me, but there have been worse. So that's true. That's my summary.
So, Lord Sugar was the chairman and part owner of Spurs from 91 to 2001. And... sold his stake in the club in 2007, according to Wikipedia. So we don't know if this is really accurate, but we can think, for £25 million. Businessman extraordinaire.
And now for my favourite part of the show, it's Apprentice News. What have we got, Greer?
Apprentice News was quite thin on the ground this week. I think they were all saving up to write stories about the episode that's just happened, because a lot seemed to be going on. But I did find one small bit of information which adds to just the absurdity of the whole experience of actually being part of The Apprentice and living in that very weird house cut off from everything. Now, this was an interview with Rochelle Anthony, who was in last year's Apprentice, you may remember, down to the final 2. And obviously they get asked a lot about, are they really woken up at 4 a.m., which we've spoken about a lot before. But one thing she wanted to say, which I thought was really odd and we haven't actually explained before, is that they don't have clocks in the house, which is weird. So that makes me think, okay, surely everyone's got their phone, but if they're to like wake up with the alarm, but if they're not allowed to contact family, where are their phones? I think we've said before something about phones, so I don't really get it. I don't get it at all. She did say in the interview, this is the issue about going on a tabloid's website. Pop-ups happen when you're about to read something. Pop-ups and everything. No, I don't want to know what Cat
It's 2024, Greer. Surely we got rid of pop-ups.
No, we haven't. The pop-up that came up was asking whether I want to know how Kate Deely. Who is Kate Deely? Cat Deely does her hair. No, I don't. She said, we don't have clocks in the house. However, our car sneakily found a clock that had been left behind. So they found an alarm clock and that had the right time because they think it was managed by an outside company. We would all be going in there thinking, is this the right time? Is this the wrong time? We genuinely didn't know and just listened to what the producers told us. It sounds like some weird, out of this world place where time stands still. Why can they not have the basic necessities?
Exactly. Like, surely some people actually need time. Like, for example, if you have medication you're on, or you have religious reasons where you, I don't know, can't eat at certain times.
Or prayer or something. There's loads of things.
What?
So, it was weird. She does also talk about, obviously, that they're filmed, coming out of the house and getting into the car and everything. So actually everything is done with the producer. So is it one of the producer's jobs to go in there and actually like wake them all up? I really don't get it. I don't really like this side of The Apprentice that we're finding out, that they're not allowed basic things and they're just given a diet of Pret and can't call their children. Is it worth it?
Do you know what? I'd find it extremely funny if someone's job was actually to go into their house and shout, 4 a.m.
Yeah, you'd be really good at that. So there we have it. Electric cars and another brilliant branding task over. Next week, the candidates are doing one of the best things that they ever do, is having to sell on the shopping channel and be in front of the camera, which is going to be so funny. Don't forget, you can follow us on Spotify. Please subscribe, as we like seeing our numbers go up, and also hearing from you over on our Instagram at Back To The Boardroom. We like getting comments and messages with you telling us what you think of our elevator pitches, but also letting us know your opinions on the show. So, James, do you have a final thought for us this week?
I do, and it's actually for next week. So my final thought, sorry it's aimed at someone, is Moira going to be the one that scares the people watching the shopping channel off and gets complaints? Because we were highlighted that someone does that in the next episode, and I have my money on Moira.
Are her people skills going to be too much yet again? Maybe if they sell wine. She might be quite
Sauvignon Blanc.
Sauvignon Blanc. It's made an appearance again. Who knows? We'll see you back here next week. Bye from me.
Bye.